Guys, if this tech billionaire can get scammed, I'm thinking we could too. If you don't know, I'm gonna tell you all about it, but Mark Cuban did in fact get scammed. And he reached out indirectly via Twitter. And he said this, quote, "Hey, Google, I just got hacked and this is my email because someone named Noah at your number called and said I had an intruder and spoofed Google's recovery methods. And if anyone gets anything from mcuban at Gmail after 3:30 p.m., it's not me." I'll go on record. I've also been scammed, but not really. I did notice it as it was happening, but I have gotten this scam as well. And today I just wanted to highlight this user on X who did a pretty thorough walkthrough of exactly what happened and some prevention methods that we could all use to make sure that it's not happening to us or our loved ones. So let's take a moment and walk through some of the events and what to do in case you find yourself in a similar position, because spoiler alert, we're all going to find ourselves in a similar position. It is becoming increasingly easier and easier to scam the general public using these sorts of methods. So let's dive into Rachel Toback on Twitter or X and see what she's saying. Here's the start of the thread. She says spoofing or changing a caller identification takes less than a minute and can be done using apps available directly on the App Store. That's right, these are applications that are just available. And Mark Cuban was just the latest in the people who have been spoofed by this sort of Google number imitation scam. She breaks down the scam in just a few simple steps. First, the scammer will find your number through some sort of data breach. It's not always something you've done online, but it could be a lack of security on a company end, a third-party application that you already gave your data to. Second step is, again, they utilize third-party apps available to them on the App Store. They use the aforementioned data to spoof a number that looks familiar to you. The third step is they assume the identity of some sort of authority, right? But this third step can look like a lot of different things. It's not just the Google Assistant, it can be the IRS, it can be some sort of loan you've taken out. This spoofing of authority looks different depending on the data they have from step one. The fourth step requires fear in you. So again, based on the data they have, they'll come up with some story that makes you fearful.
Okay, so you want to assume that everything that you put on social media is public. Information that can be found in places like this can be used to authenticate you with different companies. Do you remember this tweet?
Yeah.
I used this to gain access to your current address.
What?
So what I did is I called up this furniture company right here, and I basically said, "Hey, we're gonna buy another one of these pieces of furniture, but I need to make sure that I don't accidentally have the wrong information on the account." And they said, "No, I mean, you ordered something a while ago, but the thing that you ordered we shipped to this address." And yeah, I think I got his updated address, which is pretty scary because that happened in 30 seconds. I got your current address. I got your birthday from Twitter. I called like pretty much every...
So you can see how it's pretty easy to gather the data to make it seem like, you know, this person does have access, intimate knowledge to what you're doing. So why wouldn't you believe them? They give you the story in hopes that you give them even more data, whether it be a social security number, your credit card number, or in Mark Cuban's case, it's access to accounts. And the fifth step is literally the attack itself, as she puts it. So whether it be you paying them, giving them access to accounts, or whatever have you, this is really the attack. Whether this part is stealing your data, taking your money, creating fraudulent accounts, or just stealing your identity in general, this is pretty common. So what can you do, right? What can you do to protect yourself from these scams that are only becoming more prevalent? Well, there's a few different things you can do. First is always make sure if it's available, allow two-factor authentication. I know, it's annoying, but it is a pretty simple first step in protecting yourself and your data, because trust me, if you get your data breached because something that you didn't set up that you could have for free, you probably will kick yourself later for it. The second thing I'd recommend is if it is a familiar company reaching out to you, like Google, etc., the furniture place, right? Whatever kind of company has reached out to you, I would always recommend, if you can, go into a brick and mortar, right? Or go onto the official website and call that number's customer service. Don't just believe the only number that has called you is the only number that will be able to help you. If it's a legit company, they should have other legit means of getting, a hold of somebody. And the third thing is probably something that should have been number one, but don't answer calls you don't recognize. And if you do recognize and answer, never give out your passwords or pins or any of this intimate data to somebody that just called you out of the blue. it is okay to follow up. And if you're being pressured into giving this information out, that is an absolute red flag. No company will pressure you to give this information out. Never feel pressured to respond to these people that give you calls, even if you recognize the caller ID. Because as you can see, if a tech billionaire like Mark Cuban can be spoofed by this scammer, you can too. They build your trust. That's what scammers do. But I hope after watching this video, you have the confidence to slow down and do a little bit of extra research. If Google's calling you, go to Google and call their customer service directly. If someone is calling you about a late tax or a late yada yada yada, requesting a green dot card from you immediately, or your password to your bank account, pause. I know it sounds simple, but in the moment, fear and the sense of urgency can take over. Regardless of whatever industry you find yourself in, you are vulnerable. Even if you're young, if you're old, if you're in tech, if you're a billionaire, if you don't have a lot of money. I've seen my grandpa be scammed. I've seen my old roommate be scammed. I've been attempted to be scammed myself. Mark Cuban has been scammed. So please be careful out there. Stay curious, stay cautious. And until next time, I'm V. Bye.